I'm sitting here in the lovely smart city Malta with Florian from Germany, and we're here to talk about what's it like to live in Malta as a foreigner. Now it's a bit of a windy day here, so my apologies in advance if there's a bit of wind in the background, but hopefully it's going to be fine. How are you, Florian?
I'm good, thanks.
Cool. So, do you want to first give us a bit of a background about yourself and what brought you to Malta in the first place?
Sure. I'm 27 years old. I'm German. I'm born in Munich, and I moved here in December 2014. And I was studying in Germany, and I wasn't very happy with the choice of my studies. So I decided that I just need a break of the environment in Germany, and I was looking for places abroad. And Malta seemed like a reasonable choice, so I decided to give it a shot.
Did you move here alone, or did you bring your family?
No, I moved here with my girlfriend.
All right. And did you ever visit Malta before that, or?
No, actually I didn't.
It's very, very brave of you.
I heard good stories from you at the time, and that was, together with the pictures and the videos, was enough to convince me to give it a try.
All right. So now thinking back to the very first days that you spent here in Malta when you first arrived, can you remember what was your very first impression of the place?
I think my very first impression was when I stepped out of the airport, and in the airport in Malta you have like loads of palm trees standing there, and I was really surprised because I expected that the whole country would be full of palm trees, but it feels like you have exactly two places where you find palm trees. That's the airport and here in Spot City. And I got here in December, so the weather was amazing because I came from Germany where it was already in like the winter mood and everything, and getting here then with like 20-something degrees was amazing. I really loved it. Obviously in the beginning it was sort of like this vacation feeling, so I was very summery feeling, I have to say.
Okay. Has your impression of Malta changed in the 2 years?
Yes, of course.
Now, would you say that it was easy to adjust to living in Malta and to living in a foreign country altogether, or was it more?
No, yes,
difficult
definitely. Malta, because I did live abroad before, and obviously I can compare it now. And living in Malta, now starting a life here in Malta, is a lot easier, as English is an official language here, so that you don't have a language barrier. That is a huge advantage, of course. And there was virtually no problem adapting here, like finding just your everyday convenience shops and other things that you just need to get used to, a new environment. I was very happy. It was very easy.
Were the locals helpful towards you when it comes to adjusting?
That's the question. With locals, do you mean like residents who live here, or like Maltese people? Because I think with Maltese people, I do know some here, but the vast majority of people I think that I know here are expats. And because I got here with a job that I got already in Germany, they try to help me. So it was residents, yes, but not really the Maltese people in the first place.
Okay, so most of your friends here are other expats?
Yeah, exactly. I do have Maltese friends and people that I play squash with and so forth, but the vast majority of the people that I'm around with are expats.
Now that's usually how it is with expats, whoever I speak to, and myself included. Why do you think it is that expats tend to kind of stick together and not communicate that much with the locals? Do you think it has to do with those other people being of a similar mindset, or is it about?
I think that's the main reason, that you already have so much in common without even talking one bit with each other, because you're both new in the country, so you've probably experienced the same problems or good things here. So I think that just gives you a bond if you already have like common interests and a common experience. That's probably the main reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, going back to when you first got here, would you say it was easy to find a job here?
For me, it was quite easy, because after I made the decision to move to Malta, I was already looking for to have everything kind of set up here in Malta for me. Maybe that's a German in me who wants things organized and rather than not just going into the blue. So I wanted to have an apartment and a job already before I moved to Malta to make things easier for me. So I started applying for some jobs here in Malta already. In Germany, it was fairly easy to to get a job in the first place.
Okay, so I take it you were looking for jobs online and then did phone interviews and
Exactly, yeah.
so forth. And you mentioned the apartment place to live. So did you look that up as well before you arrived here?
Yeah, and we already had everything sorted out. So when we got here, we um, moved straight into the apartment, met with the landlord, and everything was sorted out really smoothly. We found the apartment actually through Facebook. We just started looking in various Facebook groups for expats in Malta, like accommodations in Malta, and it was quite easy to find some. Like, luckily in December, there's not so many people looking, so it's a lot easier for you than in summer.
No, obviously. And did it? You mentioned that it was through Facebook groups. Was it then directly from an owner, or did you still go via an estate agent?
No, it was actually the previous tenant. They wanted to move out, and I assume they had a deal with the landlord that they, can only get the deposit back if they find somebody to take the apartment once they leave. So they took care of that, and then we got introduced to the landlord and moved in straight away.
Okay. Now, getting a little bit more serious, in your 2 years that you've spent in Malta, have you ever felt that as a foreigner you're in some shape or form being discriminated against?
I've heard some stories. Personally, I did have some experiences where, I'm not saying that I felt racism towards me or something like that, but some people, you can tell that they have a certain feeling towards foreigners, and I mean, I think as a German, there's not many countries in the world where you would look as a German. Like, I think the stereotype with Germans abroad is not as extreme when it comes to difficulties like racism, but I did notice some intolerance here and there maybe, but not very extreme, and only very rarely. The majority of Maltese people that I've been around with, they're all incredibly friendly and very helpful. If you ever need help, then you will always get it.
I personally think that the Maltese are one of the most helpful people in Europe, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you miss Germany?
I mean, Malta is a very small island, so I try to, go back to it. It's not so far to Munich anyway, and there's a direct flight, so I do manage to get back home every couple of months. So that is enough for me to keep the homesickness.
Get your dose
low.
of Germany.
Exactly.
All right. Now, what would you say are the main things that you think are better in Germany compared to Malta?
It's hard to say what things are better or worse. When it comes to bureaucracy, that is obviously a very German stereotype, but it's very true that things are often complicated, but they get done. They make sense and they work. And here in Malta, things very often seem to be a little bit more random. Sometimes you feel like you get different information from the same office, from different people, and it's hard to plan with things. And another thing is obviously traffic. The roads is a huge difference. In Germany, roads are perfectly fine, and here in Malta, very often you find roads in bad conditions, which obviously doesn't help the Maltese traffic, which is already a little bit of a headache, to say the least.
You can't really go 230 kilometers an hour on the Maltese autobahn.
No, that's a shame. Yeah, I do miss that.
What about the other way around? What things you would say are significantly better in Malta as opposed to Germany?
I think one thing is obviously the scenery here. When you just look at the background, it's beautiful. The sea, I've never seen a sea which is more beautiful and clearer than here. So snorkeling, diving, for example, it's just amazing here. And the weather in general is obviously a lot nicer than in Germany. Well, if you like it, I love the sun, and that's nice. I do miss the snow in the winter occasionally, but I can always go back home for that.
Yeah. Now, what about things that are simply different, or maybe even things, if there are any, that you had trouble adjusting to when you moved here?
There are not so many things, to be honest. In the beginning, there were. It was based where I used to live, and just the traffic and public transportation, etc., was really hard to get used to. Because in Germany, with like suburban trains and everything, it's very easy for you to get from a small village to Munich within 35-40 minutes without any problem. Considering that that Malta is as big as Munich, it might take me double the time here in Malta to get from Santa Venera to Slima. So this is something that was very hard to get used to, but the only obvious choice was obviously to move then, or to get a car, and I decided to move instead.
So you live in Slima now?
I live in Slima now, yeah.
How do you find it living in Slima compared to you lived in Santa Venera before?
Yeah, many people told me that usually it's the other way around when you move to Malta. At first you move to Slima, and then after a year or two, you're sick of the super touristy area, and then you'd rather move somewhere in like the outskirts where it's a lot quieter. I did it the other way around, and I have to say I prefer it a lot because I didn't want to get a car here. Because regardless if you live in a popular city like Slima, St. Julian's, or in Santa Venera, Mosta, or other places, finding a parking spot at any given time is always going to be a problem if you don't have a garage or your own parking spot. So I thought that I don't get a car, so I wanted to move to the area where I'm around most of the time anyway. And now living right next to the sea with restaurants, bars, and many of my friends just in the neighborhood, I'm very happy about that decision.
Okay. Now, on a personal level, how and in which ways would you say your life has changed since moving to Malta a few years ago?
I have to say, it felt like back in Germany, it was a lot more stressful for me very often, because you would think about what do you do in life, how do you get a career, you have to get a job, you have to get promoted, and you have to have like this big plan for your life sort of sorted out. And Malta feels like, with just having like little paradise in Europe, life seems a bit easier, not as stressful, so you don't worry so much about things, but you just enjoy your everyday life a lot more than I could back in Germany.
Okay. Now, if there's one thing that you would say is keeping you in Malta, what would that be? And you're not allowed to say whether.
It's the people. It's the people. Obviously, after almost nearly 2 years, I met a lot of good friends here, and life has been good. It has been, obviously, as always, life has ups and downs, but now, reconsidering the time that I've been here so far, I have to say life has been good.
Okay. And now on the flip side, what's your one biggest annoyance with Malta?
The lack of forests and greenery. I used to live in a very small village close to Munich, surrounded by forests and green fields, and I miss that. I really miss the nature and just being in the forest, and that is something that I do miss, because you do have some greenery here and there, but it's something completely different here. That's something I miss a lot.
And it's always a drive away.
Exactly.
Okay. Now to wrap this up, what would you say is your number one recommendation to those people who are currently thinking of moving to Malta, or who have just landed here and are about to settle in?
For people who are planning of moving to Malta, let's just say go for it. Malta is a good place. Yes, you will find annoyances here, but you will find that everywhere in the world. There's no country in the world that is only positive things. It's about you if you can adapt. I would say just go for it. Malta treats you well. It has a lot to offer, and after a couple of months, I think it would already be enough time for you to know if Malta is for you or not. So you should just go for it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your time on behalf of myself and our readers. And if you guys liked the video and you'd like to see similar videos going forward, then please do let us know and like and share it on Facebook, so we know to keep on doing what we're doing. Thanks very much.